Hi, Kevin Furman here with another episode in the Clone Wars animation series, Wisdom series, and I'm taking the opening statements that were put up at the front of each of those episodes in that animated series, the one I watched with my kids a long time ago, and they put up these quote wisdom statements. That's what I call them. They didn't call them that, but they put up these statements, right? So I needed a word, so I just put up there as wisdom, kind of in reference to Yoda being the wise old Jedi, etc. Not that they're saying that he wrote them or said them. They were just statements. Okay, enough disclaimers. Let me get into this. So we're on episode 7, and let's go through the statement and then see if it has merit, right? So, and that's the format of this. Very quick, very easy to digest kind of things. But here we go. All right. So this statement for this episode was, "You hold on to friends by keeping your heart a little softer than your head." Okay, so this one is, there's a few different things that come to mind for me. One, actually just came to me right now. You hold on to friends. Just that statement in and of itself. I know I'm going way too deep with their words here, but hey, words matter, right? So that's kind of what we're doing here. So we're just analyzing. All right, holding on to friends conjures up a picture in my head of like grasping onto somebody. Don't go away, right? And that's the first picture that came to my head when I heard "hold on to friends," right? Literally, hold on to them, don't let them leave. Okay, that's a little extreme, I guess, as a picture, but that's the first thing that popped up, so I thought, well, that's kind of strange. That's a strange picture, right, that those words conjure up, or could conjure up. And I don't think they mean that. I think they mean you keep your friends close, right? You don't alienate your friends. You build the friendship stronger. Like those kinds of. I think that's what they were getting at. But it's weird to like try to hold on to friends, right? Friends is a mutual two-way street thing. It's not like I'm gonna make you be my friend, right? I mean, you can maybe do that for a little while, but that's not real friendship, right? That's control. So we're not talking about that. So okay, that aside, right? We'll pretend that they were doing, they want to build a better friendship, etc. Okay, so then they said, by keeping your heart a little softer than your head. Okay, so then we got to get into soft heart, hard head, right? Hardened heart, soft head. Those sort of statements or characterizations of people, right? So when you have a soft heart, you're very giving, you're very compassionate, empathetic, those things, right? If you have a hardened heart, you're uncaring, unempathetic, unsympathetic, unloving, right? So they're making a reference, I think, to those two, sort of opposite polar dichotomy things, right? So soft heart, hardened heart, that kind of thing. And then your head. So you could have a soft head, which in a lot of connotations, if somebody has a soft head, usually means they're, kind of slow on the draw. They aren't able to process things very quickly, that kind of thing. And then a hard head usually means somebody that's like hard-headed is kind of stubborn and bullyish, right? Kind of, it's my way or the highway. Don't let anything in, right? Don't let any other ideas in. It's just your way, kind of thing. That's having a hard head, right? That's one interpretation anyway. I'm sure there's other variations, but that, again, I'm doing it, so this is my thought on what that means. So, all right, so you want to keep your heart a little softer than your head. All right, and again, a couple things come to mind for this. First is, they're not saying only have one or the other. That was my first thought on this, was they're not saying only come at it from your heart, or have a soft heart and forget your head, or only use your head, don't use your heart, right? They're not saying that at all. In fact, they're saying you need to use both. And I think that's true, right? You using one or the other usually does kind of get us in trouble, right? Our heart does allow us to have some empathy, and we can sympathize, and we can really have some compassion for people that are struggling or that needs, they need a hug. Okay, like if you don't have your heart in the relationship, so to speak, you're not going to notice that. You're not going to even care about that, right? You're going to look at it from a transactional standpoint. That's a different kind of, relationship thing. And what they're talking about, friendship, right? You want to bring your heart to that. And your head, right? You've got to be thinking also, right? You've got to not just take what they say as always the truth, right? You've got to filter it through what you understand to be reality and what makes sense to you. And you may discuss things, you may exchange ideas, you might even change your idea, but you have to use your head, right, to filter through that and try to understand things. And that's your head, that's not your heart. Your heart is the compassion side, just caring, loving. Your head is the analyzing, logic, rectifying all the things that in the conversation that either make sense or don't. You're trying to figure all that out. That's your head, right? So you want to keep your heart a little, okay, so that's the first side, right? That use both. Okay, then the second one is a little softer than your head. It's an interesting comparison. And again, they weren't thinking this deep at all, but just, since I'm doing this. So having your heart a little softer than your head means that there's some sort of percentages, right? In a weird way. So, is it 60% hard head, 70% soft heart? It's that's a silly way to say it, but that's, again, that kind of, my brain, it conjures up those kinds of things, which doesn't really make a lot of sense. Like how you can't necessarily, okay, today I'm going to use 10% of being a hard head and 90% being a soft head, and then I'm going to do, that just doesn't equate at all to people I know that I've ever met in my entire life, right? So that's not really the thing. So the main thing they're getting at is, look, make sure you have some compassion, right? Bring that compassion to your friends, to build a better friendship, right? To hold on to that friendship or keep it alive, etc., right? So make sure that you use compassion. Use your heart also, not just your head. Right? A friendship isn't a transactional, you do something for me, then I'll do something for you, or vice versa, and you keep an account of who did more favors. And that is not friendship, right? In the sense of what we're talking about here. There are relationships like that, and there's some relationships that's completely valid. In business relationships, even transactions like at a bank, right? You want to make sure they put the money in your account in the amount that you gave them, and that they will only let you take out what's yours, so to speak. That you can't take out more, right? And you can't take it out of somebody else. That's just transactional. That's all head, right? There's no compassion in that at all, other than the caring about getting it correct so that no one else gets their money taken or you're not cheated out of your money somehow, right? So it's kept straight. So that's more analytical, more logical, because we don't want to encroach on others. So there's some heart in there, but it's really more logical, transactional, right? In a friendship, if that's how you're running your friendships, I don't know if friendship means the same to you as it does to me. That's all I can say about that. Not wrong, just very, very different. I see friendships as more relationship, emotionally based, but still a lot of logic and reasoning in there too, because it's the whole person, right? You're friends with the person, not just one part of them per se. And you could be, right? You could have a hobby friend, where all you do is this hobby. You fishing together, you play cards together, you go on cruises together, right? And that's all you do with them. And when you're doing that, you have that in common, and it's great. And then you talk about whatever you talk about during the other stuff. Nothing else really matters to you, because the friendship is built on that hobby only. Okay, fine. There's nothing wrong with that. That's great, right? And then you have someone to do that with. You can enjoy that. And then you part ways, and that's that, right? So there are friendships that are not like all-encompassing. And nor should all of them be, right? So there's only so many people that you can give everything to, and they give everything to you. Like that kind of close relationship isn't meant for the masses. We have the capacity to have that much compassion for everyone, but to have that, time to spend with the people that you would need to do that. There's not enough time in the day to have that kind of deep relationship with that many people. So that means that's reserved for a select few, right? For the people you can connect with on that deeper level and in the different areas, and maybe disagree on some, but generally you enjoy their company all the time, and you have certain things in common that you like to discuss, and you can help each other out with issues, or you can congratulate them on things well done, all that kind of stuff. So there are things that are deeper for friends than they are like business relationships or working relationships. Okay, so in conclusion on this one, it strikes me as kind of like, okay, goofy in a way because of the whole holding on to your friends. That caught me off guard at first, but I think I get what they're getting at. It's not a big deal. And keeping your heart a little softer than your head, I think it's kind of it's a good way to conjure up that whole heart-head relationship without explaining everything. We're just saying, hey, use your heart in a friendship. Make sure that that's a little bit more important than always thinking about transactions between you. And I think that is good. And I think as a leader, that's probably a decent way to think about leading, right? Think about what's going on for the people you lead before you say, hey, you didn't do this right. I need that done. Like, okay, well, yeah, you do need that done. And how can you have that conversation so that they're interested in getting the job done for them to excel in their purpose in life, so to speak, right? So how can you build the conversation or build the relationship to a point where it's not just, hey, I tell you what to do, but hey, let's work on this together. Here's what needs to happen. You have the skill set. This is your job. This is your position. Here's what you're really good at. So great, I'm glad you're doing this, right? Rather than it being, hey, you better get it done. So without going deep into that whole thing, because that's not what this series is about, I think it does have some merit. Something to remember as far as a leadership kind of stance is, remember that compassion is in your heart, whatever that entails for you, is important in all relationships to some degree, some way less than others, but as far as a leader if you're managing people or you're leading a group of people, I think having that compassion for people are people, and they're going to make mistakes, and they're going to let you down, and then there's going to be people that do awesome work, and you want to make sure that you're being appropriate with all those responses to those situations. And that is using your heart a little more than your head. I think that's a good thing. So on this, hey, I give it, I'd say almost a 2 thumbs up on this one, and because it is a great reminder on leadership, and leading a better life is, yeah, you use your head for sure. Keep your head in the game, so to speak, but having your heart in there too is very, very important. So there you go. That's my thoughts on that. Thanks a lot, and I will see you next time. Take care.